Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Trails Radio Show. Thank you for joining us this morning. Today, my special guest is entertainer Mr. Michael Walter. Thank you, and join us in a minute.
Fire away.
My first question to you is, how did you get started? How did your career begin? How did you get started in the industry?
In comedy or in celebrity impersonators?
Comedy.
Comedy? I got drunk. I was out celebrating the birth of my son, and I had a few drinks at my local establishment, and there was a sign there that said, so you think you're funny, and I'd always been able to tell a pretty good joke. So I signed up for it. Well, a couple of days later, when I sobered up, the owner of the establishment called and said, you signed up for this comedy competition. Do you still want to do it? And I go, what's it all about? He says, you got to come up with 15 minutes of original material. So I sat down and wrote out a routine about my wife having a baby. And I said, yeah. So I ended up doing the contest. I ended up coming in second.
Wow.
Yeah. And never been on stage before. But I came in second, and the guy that was the MC encouraged me to go to Seattle. I lived in Olympia, Washington, and Seattle's about 60 miles away, to go to Seattle and start hitting the open mics. Well, you could get 4 open mics a week in Seattle back in the early 80s. So I would work my regular job at Georgia Pacific Corporation, get off work at 3:30, go home, take a nap, jump up, take a shower, get in the car, drive to Seattle, which was an hour. It only took an hour back in those days. Try to drive to Seattle now, it's like 2 hours. But drive up to Seattle, hit the open mic, and then come home, go to sleep, get up, and go to work the next morning. I did that for quite a while, and I ended up starting getting booked as an MC, and then I ended up getting hurt on the job at Georgia Pacific, so they kind of put me on disability, which helped me out because I was getting a steady income and being able to travel doing comedy. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got to start. And I moved to Spokane in 1983, and I started the first comedy club they ever had in Spokane. And I stayed there from 83 to 87, and then I started going on the road.
Wow.
I thought I was a headliner, and I wasn't. I went up to Canada, and I sucked so bad when I first started out. I was nowhere near ready to be a headliner, and I worked this comedy club, and the guy kind of paid me behind his back. Here's your money. I'm going, well, I'm sorry, I wasn't funny. He goes, yeah. Well, then he became the booker for Yuck Yucks. And I called, 5 years later, I called to get work with Yuck Yucks, and he goes, why does your name sound familiar? And I said, well, I worked for you in Calgary, Alberta. And he goes, at Snickers? And I went, yeah. And he goes, oh, I remember you. Yeah, you were bad. And I went, yeah, well, it's been 5 years. And he goes, no, you were real bad. And he said, I don't think I'll be hiring you. So he didn't hire me. I never got to work for Yuck Yucks, and but I always try to tell new comedians when they're coming up, don't try to peak too soon because it can affect you, which it affected me. I mean, I didn't get any work out of them. I ended up getting more work out of other people, but this guy just never forgave me for being as bad as I was in Calgary.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. So.
It's interesting how things work out that way, though, but there are other opportunities, and it led to other great things for you. You're still doing comedy work.
Well, not now with the coronavirus, and I just recently had a below knee amputation on my left leg, due from burning my feet. I burned my feet on the deck.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, I was outside cooking on a barbecue, and the wife said, "Oh, you splattered grease all over the deck," and it wasn't. I was barefoot, and ended up being blood. And we looked at my feet, and I ended up having third-degree burns. Well, they just weren't healing. We were, taking really good care going to the doctor on it. 2 toes got infected, and then the third toe got infected. Then they took the third one toe off. Then they took the third and fourth metatarsal off. Then they did a TMA, which they take all the toes off. Mm-hmm. And it got infected, and I had to take infusions at home. And finally, in order to stop the bacteria, from killing me, we went for the amputation. So I'm just getting back around now on my new prosthetic.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. I've been praying for you, so I'm glad you feel better.
Well, I appreciate it, and I do believe in the power of prayer. So,
absolutely.
So yeah. So just waiting for everything to get back to normal. With this. If it's going to get back to normal or whatever is going to happen with the coronavirus, because I'd like to get back to work.
Yeah. We all would, yeah. A lot of, I'm blessed. I'm still doing my radio show, but I do theater acting as well, and that's kind of shut down because of the coronavirus, so I'm kind of out of work with that, but you take what you can get with the small things,
Yeah, you have to, it's... Yeah, so in the meantime, I'm just learning how to walk on my new leg and, write material.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, that's good. Well, you mentioned celebrity impersonation as well. How did you get started in that? Did that come after comedy or with?
Well, I've been a comedian for like 30 years. Mm-hmm. And total now I've been doing it for 38. And about 8 years ago, I started losing my hair, and people started looking at me going, you look like Don Rickles. And I finally broke down and watched, I rented the movie Don Rickles, Mr. Warren's The Don Rickles Project that John Landis did for HBO. Mm-hmm. And I watched it, and at one point in time there, Don is walking to the stage, and I went, oh my gosh, that really does look like me. Or I really look like him. So I started practicing, and I started studying them, and there's not a lot of video of Don doing comedy. There's a lot of video of Don doing the Dean Martin roast. Mm-hmm. But, just him actually doing his stand-up comedy. Mr. Warmth is the probably one of the only ones that you can find. You can find some clips of him on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Started studying that, and then he came to the Seattle area. And I had a guy in Vegas that was wanting to be one of my bookers or managers. And I talked to him because he used to be Don's musical conductor. He got me in to meet Don. So I bought tickets, and they were $75 a piece, and they weren't very good seats. And I wore my tuxedo, and my wife was dressed up, and we went up, and we were having dinner, and people walked by the restaurant, stop and look, and come in. Hey, can I get my picture taken with you? And I'd look at him and go, sure, but I'm not him. And then we went into the showroom, and I was sitting way in the back. This guy came over in his walker, all by himself, just kind of from the other side of the room, got up to me and looked at me and said, I just want to tell you, I saw you in 1977 in Las Vegas. I'm very excited to see you again. I looked at him and I said, you think I'm Rickles? And he goes, you're not? I said, do you think if I was Rickles, I'd have these crappy seats? Get out of here. So then his manager came out and talked to me, his road manager, who, by the way, used to be Sinatra's road manager.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so Tony came out, that's the road manager. Tony O came out and talked to me. He says, well, you got the look down and all that stuff. And I gave him some guff. And he said, come backstage after the show and I'll introduce you to Rickles. He went backstage and he brought Rickles out to the side curtain and he pointed me out. And Rickles waved at me and I waved back at Rickles. And then I watched him do his show. And so we got to go backstage. And first thing he said to me is, people tell you look like me? And I went, yes, sir, they do. And he goes, you're a damn good-looking guy. You know that? Excuse me. But yeah, so I told him I did a tribute show to him, and he said, "Well, that's a good thing. Keep my name alive." Mm-hmm. And then I met him like 3 different times. Very nice man.
Wonderful comedian. Oh, wonderful.
Oh, he was absolutely phenomenal. And as he got older, he didn't miss a beat. You know, he may have slowed down a little bit, but he was still just funny as all get out. And yeah, I wish you could have seen my show. I do have a show of me doing Don Rickles online.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to search for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do a show with a Dean Martin impersonator, the Don and Dean Show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's on my website. It's the whole hour and 40 minutes that we do together. I did, in 2018, I had open heart surgery. I sound like I'm falling apart, don't I? I had open heart surgery, and my goal was to be able to do a big show once I got done healing. And my friends at the Orange Blossom Opry in Weirsdale, Florida. Where are you out of, Trey?
I'm in Mississippi.
Oh, okay. I'll talk a little slower for you then. It's Weirsdale, Florida is a place called the Orange Blossom Opry. And it's a 650-seat theater run by 2 wonderful people. And I talked to them, and I said, I'd like to have a goal show set up. So they gave me a date. And the end result was this video that I have posted of the Don and Dean Show at MikeWallyWalter.com. And, yeah, so I have the Don and Dean Show on there, which I work with. The Dean Martin guy I work with sounds like Dean, but he can't tell a joke for crap.
Well, that's good. Like you said earlier, and you said you had a few health problems. That's good you still have your sense of humor. That's very important, to laugh.
Boy, that's all I got. When I was in the hospital after the amputation, the nurses came into my room, and they were looking around my room, and I go, what are you doing? He says, we got to take inventory. And I went, I got to report something's missing. And they got all concerned. Oh, my gosh, what? Did somebody take something? I said, yeah, Tuesday night I came in here, I had a left leg. Now I don't. We're so sorry. That's down in the morgue getting ready to go into the incinerator. I said, I didn't order barbecue. What are you talking about? I had him going in the hospital.
That's good that we can have a sense of humor. I think everyone should be like that. Life is complicated enough. We need to make people laugh more and be positive,
Yeah, and it's getting harder every day to do that because people are so sensitive now, mm-hmm. That's why I like working in Florida. They get Rickles, they don't get their feelings hurt. It's up here in the Northwest where I live, you say something. You say something offhanded or crass, and all my feelings are hurt, and I got to go run to my safe space. Jeez. Yeah. So I work more in the southern states than I do in Washington State where I live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Southerners tend to get the humor more, I find. Well, I'm a Southerner. I get it. So I assume the other people do as well.
One would hope so. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they got to have a sense of humor down there. I mean, for crying out loud, look at them. So what else do you want to know, Trey?
Well, my next question to you is, what do you find is the most challenging part for you being a comedian, or the most difficult part?
Just what I said. The political correctness of this country. Mm-hmm. is very difficult to be able to go up and, as a comedian back in the day, you used to be able to make fun of everything. And nowadays it's like, you can't do that. You can't do this. A lot of comedians just stop working colleges just because college kids are so rough on them as far as, saying the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it has changed these days, and it will continue to change. For worse or better, we don't know. We'll have to see.
I hope it just gets back